Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Well, the sheriff of Walker County just gave an update today, and it seems that there's no sign of trauma or assault on little Jonathan, which is good news, but charges are still pending. So please go through this with me.
I just want to provide an update on the Jonathan Bowley case that took place on New Year's Eve. So where we're at is on Wednesday, December 31st at around 12:28 p.m. Walker County Sheriff's Department received a call about a missing 4-year-old child. Deputies arrived on the scene along with RPS and cleared the residence around 1:02. Once they made sure that the child wasn't in the house, we immediately called for air support from Aaliyah. State K-9s were there as well to start the searching process. At approximately
I really don't know why he keeps explaining himself on what he did to find Jonathan. In my opinion, he brought out everything. I mean, he brought out everything in the kitchen sink. I think this is weighed heavily on his heart. That's what I think. And yes, I talk with my hands all the time.
12:55 on Friday, January the 2nd, Jonathan, which is known as John, was recovered at the scene by a search group that was volunteering. They were in their assigned grid when John was recovered partially in a body of water. Once John and Buck was found, I requested the assistance of the FBI and SBI to work alongside our deputies to work the scene. They spent Friday, most of the day Saturday, processing and working the scene. They vacated the command post at Cornerstone Church, and I want to thank Cornerstone Church for allowing us to use their facilities last week. Sunday, they worked out of their respective field offices to follow up and put everything that we've worked on thus far together. This morning, Sergeant Pugh, SBI, and federal agents were present for an autopsy this morning. We do not have an official cause of death, but we can rule out that there was no signs of trauma or assault type injuries.
No official cause of death. Listen, I do not want this to be anything worse than what it is, because as we know, Jonathan has passed away. He's deceased. But with the autopsy, with an FBI agent and other law enforcement there, they still do not know his cause of death. Or I don't know what they're, obviously I'm not a medical examiner. I have zero idea what's going on there. And I don't mean Alabama. I just mean with the medical professionals, what they're waiting on. It seems to me that he obviously didn't drown. It seems to me, since they don't have cause of death, they're waiting on toxicology.
Anything official will be pending further testing. We're committed to being transparent as possible as we can during this entire process. Kind of to talk about the father, Jamison Kyle Bowley, and the charges that he had that stems from this investigation was on December 31st, Jamison Kyle Bowley was arrested and charged with unlawful manufacture of a destructive device, which is a Class B felony. He was also charged with chemical endangerment of a child on 2 counts, which are Class C felonies. These charges are separate and totally separate from missing John. And also, I want to say that, Mr. Bowley is presumed innocent until proven guilty. That these charges doesn't mean that he is guilty until he's proven guilty. Once the investigation is complete and we have an official cause of death, everything will be compiled and we will give it to the district attorney for review. Does anybody have any questions?
Why is the father in Blount County?
We moved in Blount County anytime. It's not uncommon for sheriffs across the state when they have high profile cases and things of that nature to send the individual out of county or to another facility. We have several inmates that are Walker County inmates that are in different county jails throughout the state that are being housed just to keep people separated and so forth. We have several inmates that are from other counties as well, so we kind of switch and swap just to kind of keep high profile cases separated from their home county.
In terms of the autopsy, still the results are not in, would it be safe to assume that there's a possibility of things like if the boy fell off a ridge or fell off into some water or something like that?
Obviously I don't want to speculate on what the cause of death may or may not be. All I can say is that from what was done this morning, that we can rule out the fact that there was no trauma and there was no assault type injuries, and anything else would require further testing.
To me, that means toxicology. I really want to know what you guys think. I really want to know. If he passed away from, and I'm saying that lightly, from hypothermia, dying from the elements, something like that, what is going on? They said they need further testing. His words, not mine.
Do you know how long he had been deceased?
They did not provide that this morning in the initial conversation. They just got through concluding.
On Friday, you called for privacy for the family. Since then, there's been a lot of chatter on Facebook, maybe even potential misinformation. What's your message to the community right now?
First off, I want to say that I'm very proud of Walker County. I'm very proud of the people who came out and showed this family support. I've seen high school kids come out. I've seen grandpas and grandmas come out. I just ask that you show the family respect.
And you mentioned he was partially in a body of water. Can you kind of describe what type of?
He's breaking down again, and that breaks my heart. When you see a grown man cry, especially one that's a strong, tough man, like the sheriff of Walker County, and his voice is trembling, and he is saying things like, have to wait, things like that. It makes you wonder what he really knows and what he's holding on his shoulders.
Body of water that was?
It was, I guess the best way to describe it is kind of a creek. But it pulled up to, there was an area that was pulled up. Not sure whenever he was in it, at what level it was in, because obviously Friday we experienced rain. But Saturday morning when we measured it, it was around 4 foot deep.
Was it a volunteer type team that had found him, or was it a professional law enforcement?
So, obviously we had law enforcement, we had hundreds of volunteers come out. So EMA did a fantastic job of mapping out everybody's search patterns and grid patterns. So this was a volunteer group of pure volunteers that were assigned a certain section to search, and during their search, they recovered John.
And you mentioned that the dog was found with him alive. Was the dog just hanging around that area, or can you describe?
One of the The volunteers I spoke to said they saw the dog first, and the dog kind of led them back to where John was.
In regards to the father, can you specify what types of drugs were found in the home?
Methamphetamine.
And then, as far as the dog and all, do you think the dog stayed with the child? Is that the expectation? Or
It,
maybe led him that far away because he wasn't helping mom?
it appears that way, that the dog was with him the whole time.
About when was the boy found as far as 1 o'clock, 1:30?
It was at 12:55.
Buck the dog was with him the whole time. Okay. And he explained to the press crew methamphetamines were found in the father's house. No bueno for me. Okay. I don't care who takes their pills, drinks their beer, drinks their whiskey, does whatever they do. Keep it away from the kids. And now there's no cause of death, according to the sheriff, and they have to wait. This is crazy. And I don't like it.
What EMA reported this morning that the volunteer group found it on January the 2nd.
What was the volunteer group? I mean, you got a hold of the volunteers, obviously going to look for him, but not probably expecting to see what they saw. How are they dealing with this?
Yeah, I spoke with them shortly in a room. They were shook up. Obviously, you come out to do a good deed, and when you get there, you may have thought that you have fully prepared yourself for what you might come across, and obviously they were shooken up. I think they had to call paramedics to one female searcher who was having a panic attack. So obviously, keep them in your prayers.
How are investigators doing?
They're good. Like I said, there's, two guys, Sergeant Pugh and Captain Legg. I can't commend them enough for the work that they've done. I'm not sure that they ever went home until John was found.
How are you doing?
It's a challenge. Like I said, I've never been through anything like this, and I hope that, that no family has to go through anything like this. But if you do, I think that one thing that we have to be proud of Walker County, and the fact that that's where I'm proud of, is because of the support that they showed this family. And I hope that support don't stop. I hope that support continues in the days to come. It doesn't just stop just because John was found.
Strange question. How was the father informed? He didn't just watch a stream or anything like that?
No, we took him to Blount County. I arranged with the sheriff of Blount County to let the family go make that notification in person.
And if he moving to Blount County, that's for his safety?
It's just general, just to keep him separated from the county and people he may know here in the jail.
And I know that you guys had thermal imaging around
Interesting. The sheriff said to keep him separated from the people he may know in the jail. I'm not quite understanding that, but I am not the sheriff.
potentially. Some people are asking how possibly the dog was missed on thermal imaging. Can you explain that?
I can't really explain that because that's not my area of expertise. We called out every resource that we had available. We had multiple aviation divisions from Jefferson County, Aaliyah, Coleman City. We had drone operators from several search and rescue groups. I can't answer that question.
It's early, but have you learned any lessons from this investigation in terms of how to do this type of search better down the road?
Obviously, I think once we get all of our information back, when we get to review everything and get to really sit down and think, we can, you're always going to find things that you can do better. There's no doubt about that. But obviously, as well, This presented challenges. I mean, where we're at, and the lifestyle that was taking place in the home with explosive devices and things of that nature, obviously created challenges, challenges that we, wouldn't necessarily ready to see. And so it was much more than just blazing through the woods looking for a child. It presented challenges.
How long was the delay because of that finding explosive?
The delay was delayed around the residence. There's a lot of misinformation out there. The delay was not delayed for a search that other than the immediate area of the house. Now, the following day, once you got across the road, several volunteers were reporting and mapping that they thought they had found some type of explosive devices. So obviously we had to delay searches in that particular area, which was across the street, until the bomb techs for the FBI could finish clearing the house and then make their way to assess those potential hazards, which they were cleared to not be explosive material.
Do you know, the devices that you found? Pipe bombs, how would you describe them? Fireworks?
They wasn't fireworks, let's just put it that way. I'm not an expert when it comes to bombs, and
They weren't fireworks. They weren't fireworks. Let me tell you it that way. They weren't fireworks. So what was going on? He had 359 days to clean his shit up to see his 2 children. We already know that he doesn't see his other 4 children, according to his best friend / maybe sometime girlfriend. So what was going on there?
explosives, but the people who are experts said there was enough to level the entire house.
I know y'all got the call on Wednesday. Do you know how long they were missing prior to y'all getting there?
Which was across the street until the bomb techs for the FBI could finish clearing the house and then make their way to assess those potential hazards, which they were cleared to not be explosive material.
And do you know, the devices that you found? Pipe bombs, how would you describe them? Fireworks?
They wasn't fireworks, let's just put it that way. I'm not an expert when it comes to bombs and explosives, but the people who are experts said there was enough to level the entire house.
I know y'all got the call on Wednesday. Do you know how long they were missing prior to y'all getting notified?
Sir, you repeat that again?
Yeah, I know y'all got the call on Wednesday. Do you know how long he was missing prior to y'all getting that notification?
There was a delay. Obviously, we weren't called as immediately as he went missing. If I'm taking the information that I have at face value, I mean, I'm sure that he did like any parent would do. You'd spend 30 minutes, an hour or so trying to find your child. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt that that's what happened, that he was trying to find him on his own. But obviously, one thing back to Ed's question is, in situations like that, because the father was doing his own search and things in the woods, which obviously doesn't help the tracking of, using canines and trying to track the child once, we got notified.
The explosions that the neighbors have heard for several weeks on end, have we been able to tie those explosions with the father in terms of the material that he had?
We have not.
With as many agencies that were involved, what the chaplain organizing the search, who led the search, organizing?
Yeah, so obviously, I contacted, as soon as we got on scene, we contacted the FBI state, got everybody in, contacted Regina with EMA. She came out, she did her thing and got as many resources, fire departments and things as we could. She set up the incident command center at the church. And then we just started working, kind of rolling from there, for organizing everything, organizing everybody in searches and where they needed to go.
Could you speak to how much she did? Because that's, her name has come up several times today, about how much she did.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I can't thank Regina enough for the job that she did helping organize. It's one less thing that I had to worry about because I knew that she was doing a good job.
Do we know what the father's intentions were with the explosives? Was that like a hobby or? I don't know.
I think he had told at one point, he told an investigator that he knew what he was handling and stuff was dangerous, but he didn't, he just was at the point where he didn't care anymore.
Okay, now I'm going, after what the sheriff just said, a totally different route. He said he knew what he was handling, but at the point he didn't care anymore. Please listen to that again.
Go.
Can you speak to how much she did? Because that's, her name has come up several times today about how much she did in terms of.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I can't thank Regina enough for the job that she did helping organize. It's one less thing that I had to worry about because I knew that she was doing a good job.
Do we know what the father's intentions were with the explosives? Was that like a hobby, or do you have any idea?
I think he had told at one point, he had told an investigator that he knew that what he was handling and stuff was dangerous, but he didn't, he just was at the point where he didn't care anymore.
He had a military background, right?
Yes.
What type of explosives?
I don't know the name of them. I don't want to misquote it or misstate it.
Were they just one type of explosive or were they several different types?
I don't know the answer to that. Any other questions?
No, I think that's it. I think we got it. There is something bad going on here. Jameson Kyle Bowley is in jail on cash bonds. Jonathan has passed away. His father stockpiled a bunch of explosives. Plus, he had methamphetamine around his children. And remember, he had 359 days to clean up whatever he had going on. You have a mama missing her baby, one that filed a protective order about his craziness. And now here we are. There's no trauma. There's no assault. But there's no cause of death. So you tell me in the comments what you think law enforcement is working on. And I cannot wait to hear your comments. You guys are the absolute best. Love you.